Your source for all things Texas Tech. This is the Ask Level podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome into another episode of the Ask Level podcast. Alongside Chris Level, I'm Chois Woodman. This podcast, as usual, brought to you by our friends at Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Level, another week, another win. Competition still a little bit thin at this point, but should get a little better this week. How we doing?
Well, it should.
Good.
However, the Beavers are in just absolute shambles.
Mhm.
I think 4 to 5 bad special teams snaps, to which led to lots of booing there at Beaver Stadium in Corvallis, and
Mhm.
giving the game away, and then a pick six to end it. Yeah,
Ouch.
the athletes will look better this coming weekend, like they did with Kent State versus UAPB, but I'm not sure that they'll be just a ton better. But we'll see. Maybe they sure will be motivated if you listen to their head coach, because their head coach was hot. But yeah, Kent State, pretty good indications that this is the way this was going to go. I think you salute, you move on, you did what you were supposed to do. I was glad. I guess the we'll gloss over this as we go, but in weeks and months to come, you'll forget that you weren't real sure if Baron Morton was even going to play in this game,
Yeah.
much less play well and in a half and put it away, and then not really have any lingering effects from the week before, which there were many times last week where I'm like, I don't know. You weren't
Mhm.
weren't real worried about it just because of the upcoming opponent.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think yeah, you dodged a bullet there. But yeah, he's back, and I think I heard Joey say this in the locker room after the game, and I think it's stuff like this that people won't know all that he put himself through to get ready to play.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you don't see.
Sure.
um, the therapy and the rehab and just the whatever all of it takes, the studying, so that's what comes with the territory, but not everybody's wired like that. So I think, to his credit, and all for a game versus Kent State. So I was glad to see that. But yeah, your first team defense, there's some rumors out there that they might be decent, might be pretty good.
Yeah.
um, it's based on competition. But we've seen what we thought were pretty good defenses around here before go against what we thought is not great competition, and you're just holding on for dear life. That was not the case here. So,
No, no, it was not. And I think that um these 2 weeks level have gone exactly as scripted, which makes for some really boring second halves of football games. Um, but man, that's a lot better than the contrary, where you're holding on for dear life against ACU like you were last year.
well, and against Houston Christian, and
Sure.
against man, I don't know. You just
Oh,
keep going with it.
there's been
Yeah, there's
plenty of them.
plenty of, yeah, that's right. But
Central
anyways,
Arkansas a few years back. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's right. Um, but I I'm glad that these two are over with.
Me too.
I'm not just suggesting that the Green Bay Packers are rolling in this weekend, but it is a step up. The athletes are better. There's more resources with a program like this. They're in a bit of disarray from their program standpoint just because they haven't played very well. The portal ravaged them, but it is different than what you've just seen, and because you could just see it coming if you just squint, man. Like it's gonna be real serious here pretty quick whenever Utah, like the next time we do one of these and we're
Oh yeah.
staring down the barrels of the Utes, and not that it's the end all be all or anything, but it's if you want the right to go fight for a title, then this is like it's like Mike Tyson knocking out one of those up and comers on his way back in the day before he got to fight, Spinks and all those dudes.
Hmm.
It's like you gotta earn the right to.
Get
So
there.
anyway, you could just. I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves here, but this is just kind of what is on the horizon. And Joey said that to you and I in the pregame show.
Yeah.
He's like, we're on a collision course, and I don't think that there's any disrespect to Kent State or to Oregon State, but these games count, but they don't. And
Right.
so you can talk about that conference opener knowing what's coming, and this is why Barron playing and playing well and
Sure.
staying in rhythm was so important to the head coach because it's all about that Utah game.
Yeah, and we'll dive into Oregon State and the Utah game a little bit, looking ahead. But before we move on from Kent State, what stood out to you? What was your takeaways from what we saw on Saturday?
Well, I mean, I'll just go back to some of the things I said on the broadcast. I thought Barron was sharp. I do think that you're still sorting through some of the communication, some of the timing with your receivers. There was some red zone issues in general.
Hmm.
I think that there's some short yardage issues
Yep. Coach
that
McGuire
are
was really frustrated with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you've listened to us do this show over the summer, this is clearly something that
Hmm.
we had questions about anyway.
Right.
And then I think when you add the Quentin Joyner issue, it compounds this potentially. And we're kind of, I mean, you could, again, we're being nitpicky here,
Sure.
but again, the expectations are different now. The the margin for error is still razor thin. And part of it too is that you were really good at this aspect of your team, um, last year with Taj and Jalen Conyers and all that. And is this more of a running back issue? Is it more of an offensive line issue? Is it more of, because I'll throw this out at you too, is this more of a we're still trying to be pretty vanilla with a lot of our playbook because,
Yeah.
because you don't, but having said that, you should be able to turn around and hand it off and
Right.
get a yard against Kent State,
Yeah.
and you didn't for so the one series you run it, and then it's like he bounces it out and goes wide, he scores. Then the other one of the other series, you just like you try to throw it and just miss time. It looked like you were force feeding it to Caleb Douglas. It just didn't work. Then there was another fourth down more in the middle of the field that you did not convert. And I think, Coach McGuire was like, we're not straining enough.
Yes.
That's and they'll get better. They'll improve is the hope. This is still these are new pieces. This is a new offense. There's a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to go. Okay, that's if I'm looking for stuff to be kind of worried about, I mean that belongs on a list, albeit a short one.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to expect your guys to stay razor sharp through two blowouts as well. I'm not saying that they were or weren't perfect or any. I just think that you're gonna have mistakes even in blowout games. It wasn't a perfect product, but I think there are things like you mentioned that are question marks. And I think, I mean, you're nitpicking somewhat, but short yardage. What's going to happen when you go up against Utah? What's going to happen when you go up against some of the better defensive lines in the league? And man, the penalties on special teams have got to those have got to go away. Lots of holds on special teams that have erased
what, more than 100 yards of kickoff returns in the last couple of games, the first
I
couple of
know.
games.
I mean, I like crimes against the family.
Yeah.
Okay, you weren't. Did you hear this on the first coaches show? You probably didn't. Are you aware of the
Uh,
crimes against the
oh
family?
yes, I've heard him say that before.
Okay, yeah,
Reference.
okay. So we really got into this the
Yeah.
first coaches show, and you were watching your kid
Yeah.
tote the rock in Abilene that night. So I didn't know if you, but we got in deeper
Hmm.
as far as conversation because what the I had John Carlos Miller say to me before that first game, like, no dunks over the goalpost for me, and I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
I wondered about that, and he's like, he was very seriously like kind of like locked it up, and he was like, no crimes against the family,
Yeah.
like Coach McGuire takes that very seriously. There's nobody in this locker room that's worth 15 yards, and I've learned that, and almost like he was like ashamed of his
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
of his athletic prowess in dunking the football over the goalpost, which I thought it was awesome. And I think Joey probably did too. However, when that flag came out, he's like, okay, this is not so awesome.
Hmm.
And so yeah, crimes against the family. It's like a Godfather reference.
Right.
But like, did Tristan Gentry did he frustrate somebody? Because it's like every good play he's got
Yeah.
going on, it's like somebody needs to be sent out to the pasture or dropped in the river with concrete shoes on. Godfather reference. And by the way, I'm kidding. I'm totally
All
joking.
jokes.
Yes, all jokes. I'm just playing off of the whole
Oh yeah.
crime against the family. Yeah, you never go against the family. That whole deal. Um, right. I've seen parts of that movie or the first or second one. I've never seen them all the way through. Have you seen these, The Godfathers?
I have watched the first and second one. I
Okay.
like the second more than the first, but man, it's one of those investing some time into it if you're gonna watch it type of thing.
Okay, but you don't. Again, I've just never seen them. So anyway, I
Okay.
know that some.
You're not holding out like The Natural, are you? Like this one. That's not one of those things where you're trying to
No,
purposefully avoid
I
it, right?
just I just think as time has gone by, it's harder to like watch an older film like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because there's so many new things that I want to watch, and then there's limited time and all this stuff.
Oh, sure.
I'm in the middle of. You've heard me talk about this, but I'm still in the middle of. Now that football season started, it's a bit tricky, but I'm in the middle of a show called Animal Kingdom,
Yeah.
which has nothing to do with animals unless you consider humans animals that they act like such things. And it
Sure.
is the wildest, darndest thing that that these eyes have seen. So, anyways, yeah, um, I hated that I didn't know about it during the pandemic because I think it was like a 2019 type show. But anyway, but yeah, there's that.
There's
The
levels
recommendation.
wreck
The,
for the week. Yeah.
there's because there's all the things that would give it an R rated or a late night
Hmm.
rating thing going on, like a lot of the Netflix shows have. Language and violence and
Adult situations.
yes, there's some of that. Um, uh, s s White powdery substances
Oh, those.
is
Yeah.
is going on. Yeah, there's a lot of
Okay.
that. So, anyways,
Okay.
but yeah, um, yeah. But with that, I guess we can continue with our football
Hey, we got
conversation.
we got levels wreck of the week. We're good. We can
How did
get
we?
back
Oh,
to
it was Godfather. Yeah,
Godfather.
because I
Yeah.
don't I don't
It
have
is
time
funny
to
though.
watch the Crimes Against the Family, Tristan Gentry, and Animal Kingdom all wrapped up into one
Hey,
conversation. This is why you come here.
it's a big circle. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why you come here. But I will say before we leave the Gentry conversation,
Hmm.
I will say that this is a weapon that is emerging.
Yes.
This is a developing situation. I think that he went from in the mix to starter from week one to week two, and I can't imagine there's anything that he's done that would take away from that. And some of these holds or holding penalties are frustrating because they're not anywhere near the play. They're not affecting his return per se. But I just think he's just one of these guys that he's kind of got it.
Yeah.
He's just kind of got it. And it seems to me that, anytime you pluck a player from Stephenville, they typically have it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Cody Davis was pretty good, right?
Not too bad.
Yeah, Coy Aiken's been pretty good,
I
and
like him.
and now Tristan Gentry. So that's some good company there.
No doubt. No doubt. We got a question from, and
You know the irony about Tristan Gentry too. Before we moved on,
what's that?
this is just funny how sports work. Do you really want to know why he was on the radar, or he emerged, or he kind of got pointed this direction, and you got pointed to him, and all that stuff?
What's that?
Zach Kitley.
Hmm.
Because Zach Kitley, I think there's some family on that staff, and it was just like, this is 2 years ago. This is way before he kind of really and ended up, he was just so. And now Zach Kitley's on a beach coaching football somewhere in Florida, and
Congrats to him for getting
Mac
his
left.
first win this week, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And Mac Leftwich is here, and Kenny Perry's here coaching him. Anyway, it's just funny how sports work sometimes, that there's people that kind of maneuver around. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's why he's here, because I'm just gonna assume here, but I think he's gonna be a good player here for years, Tristan Gentry, and we're just kind of starting to see the surface scratched a bit there.
He's got some pop to the game, no doubt.
Sure, yeah.
This kind of goes along with Tristan Gentry. I think this ties into him. Um, Jacob says, I heard you say, Level, that Coach McGuire's not going to worry about redshirting players on the broadcast. Are there going to be no redshirt players this year?
So there's a happy medium there. I think that so this was something that Joey talked about after the first game against UAPB in the post game. So what we're talking about here is that there has been a lot of lawsuits,
Hmm.
a lot of people like claiming and fighting for extra years of eligibility and this and that. The NCAA has discussed this, the various committees and councils and all these things. This is seemingly a common sense rule that just, I don't know why you wouldn't do it, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of doing it anyway. But essentially what we're talking about here is that at some point, Joey thinks, and I think a lot of people think, that when you get into college, you're basically it's going to be a 5 for 5.
Yeah.
It eliminates red shirts, it eliminates waivers, it eliminates just a lot of shenanigans. And you get 5 years to play five, the end. And I'm sure there's a medical, scenario in there that would allow you to and all that. But it eliminates like transfer crap and this and that, and then like your paperwork getting stacked on a desk at the offices in Indianapolis, and
Hmm.
them not being. I mean, again, you get 5 for 5, the end. Like, and so then nobody has to keep
Pretty
track with.
simple.
Well, he's played the four, but because see,
Yeah.
a freshman player is allowed to play 4 regular season games, but he's also allowed to play in any sort of postseason. So, say you're on a team that plays for a league title game and then goes to the playoff, you could theoretically play in 6 or 7 games and still
Hmm.
redshirt. What's the difference there between letting them play in 6 or 7 and
Oh,
12?
I think we've done the math on it. You can get up to 9 games in a season if you
Yeah,
play
I
in
mean,
the
if
conference
you
championship and then the first weekend and then the second, third, fourth. Yeah, I think you can play 9 games and still redshirt right now, which is crazy.
so I think Joey's point is there are certain players that they feel like, I think like Leighton Stone is one.
Hmm.
I think Gentry is one. I think we'll see like where Bryson Jones is and some of
Hmm.
these receivers. I don't know if you'll necessarily roll this way with some like linemen, that aren't physically ready, or if
Right.
there's just not a need.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to be worried about shutting down some of these receivers after 4 games. They're just going to say, in a couple years, they're going to get these years of eligibility back anyway. That's where he's coming from. And he said, I think to quote him, he's like, I feel very strongly about that. Like that this will
Is
change.
what's going to happen. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you and I talked about this 3 or 4 years ago. This has been in
Yep.
conversation for a while, but it does feel like it's starting to get some legs in terms of, and the lawsuits are part of it in terms of actually going into practice. So, good question there from
Because
Jacob.
there's some that have sued, and it's like, I want an extra year of NIL. Okay, so that's their angle. I don't blame them. I wish I was a part of that $1.7 billion lottery purse, the other day too. We can always get what we want.
Someone in Texas won. You did, it wasn't
In
you?
Fredericksburg, I believe is the
Yeah.
locale. But they had to split it with a bunch of other folks, I think, right? There's some
I think it was just
Midwest.
two winners
Okay,
of the
there's
big winners.
somebody, yeah, there was somebody that up in, like, I don't know, Iowa or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I'm not here to
It wasn't
talk.
us.
Well, yeah, that's right. But they are fighting on behalf of they want an extra year of earning power. But the crux of the original argument is just like, you're halfway there. You adjusted this to give them 4 games.
Yeah.
You're trying to do right by players and kids and athletics and all that stuff. And so why do you put the handcuffs on after? Yeah, it's kind of mixed signals.
Yeah.
And so the original argument had nothing to do with NIL and all the things. So that's why I said what I said. And I do think that is certainly, you know, and Joey's on a lot of he's aware of what's going on in the sport, like with the coaches
Oh, sure.
associations and all the things. And so if he feels strongly about it, then I would say that he probably has a very good reason to feel that way.
Absolutely. I missed this question when we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but this ties back into the short yardage stuff. It says, Level, do you think we'll see Adam Hill get opportunities in short yardage situations this year?
I would say that Adam has taken himself from like a clear fourth string back and a potential move to linebacker, which is, I
Hmm.
think, was the plan.
Yeah,
And when Quentin Joyner went down, I think he's a clear number 3 now. I think he's like, he's showing them that, and we already knew this. I mean, he
sure.
just, I don't think he had like I don't know, this is I think he had some flaws in camp, which is, it's not a bad thing. He just was kind of,
Sure.
Coach McGuire was like, man, I think part of it is he was playing with like second and third and fourth team guys, and so he just kind of was
Right.
bouncing some things out in these scrimmages instead of running it where the play was designed to go, and some different things. And in what Joey said, he's like, but now he's just running behind his pads, and he's going where he's supposed to go because he's playing with some of the second string guys and all that stuff. And I think he's so to wrap this answer up, I think he's maybe earned some opportunities in meaningful games. I'll just say that. I don't know if it's situational
Yeah.
as much as it is. I think he's potentially earned some, but I don't want people to get down on Jacoby or Cam.
Right.
People are going to look at Cam's numbers and go, he only rushed for like 12 yards. Well, he did have 2 touchdowns, but Cam Dickey played running back for the first time his last year. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, so I think that he's still, yeah, I think he's still learning, and I think he had a really good camp, and he's got some banked reps in front of these coaches that I think they have some confidence in him too. So, and Jacoby, he's going to be the change of pace guy. It's just easier to compare Cam with Adam because they're more similarly built. Jacoby's going to be a part of this thing no matter what. And Michael in Hollywood, he came out of the game the other day too. And I think I'm going to surmise that was separated shoulder.
Yeah.
is my suspicion, and that they put that back in place. A lot of pain and a lot of frowning and
Hmm.
exasperation, and then a lot of like, like a lot,
Yeah.
kind of like you do after we finish one of these shows, and you're just like, I endured another one, and I don't know how you do it, man.
Not true. Enjoy
I
it.
just,
Mason asks, anything to note on Howard Sampson? Noticed he wasn't out there for a couple of series.
yeah, Mace. The thing to note is that he did come back in, which we appreciated it because I didn't think anything was like serious,
Hmm.
but when your big left tackle is standing over there talking to the doctors and he's kind of explaining and he's kind of we're talking about our knee and we're talking about some different things and he kind of was I don't know if the right word is gimpy or just a slight limp or whatever as he was running off the field in his
Hmm.
one of those offensive series and then you move Ponton over to left and you play Zambrano at right. Yeah, I mean we're gonna notice that and we're gonna wonder and like you are now. But he came back in. I think he's fine. So I think that after checking on that, I think he's okay. And but that's one of a couple of people on this team that I just think would be. And we may find out that in time that Quentin Joyner was one of these people that you were just really gonna have a
Maybe.
difficult time replay. I don't know. Hard to say that when you just don't ultimately know what Quentin could do. But like I do think Howard Sampson, yeah, you can play Ponton over at left tackle, and you could still have capable, talented people at these spots if Howard were to go down. But he would be very difficult to replace on what he is. So would Jacob Rodriguez. That's my other one.
Yeah, I think there's just a few guys where it feel it would feel like you would just take a huge blow, and I think those are definitely some of them. Left tackle, don't want to lose that one.
And the Big 12 preseason Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, that too. All right, we've got a couple more questions, but before we get to those level, let's look towards Oregon State. We talked about them a little bit. Texas Tech opens as a 23.5 point favorite at home. I know that line's already moved as we talk a little bit, but you open there. Um, am I crazy to think that this, as far as covering goes, that you should? I mean, it feels like based off of what we've seen from Oregon State the first couple of games, you could win this game by 4 touchdowns.
I mean, well, I don't think you'll be motivated to do it, but you could organ them.
Yeah,
I mean, like with what happened to Oklahoma State. I mean, I don't.
goodness.
I think there was obviously some motivations there. Dan Lanning was like, "Hey, man, we're just playing the game here," but yeah, the behind the scenes, I think there was the foot on the gas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're just kind of in shambles. They've got a very talented, albeit it's sometimes inconsistent quarterback. Like when you see Malik Murphy in person,
Hmm.
it's going to look like. I mean, it's going to look like a Vince Young or a Lamar Jackson or now he's not near as polished or quite as explosive decision making sometimes, but he is a large human. This
Yes.
is somebody who started out as a 4 or 5 star prospect and went to Texas. He then would, whenever the Arch Manning thing played out and we're doing all the quarterback recruiting that they were doing, he found greener pastures at Duke. And I think Duke won some football games, and then obviously coaching change at Duke, I guess it was, and so then you end up having him go to Oregon State, and so he's about 6'5", I'm gonna guess he's probably like 225, 230.
Hmm.
Um, can run around, cannon for an arm, but just sometimes doesn't throw it to the right team or whatever. So that is definitely a difference. But this was a program that was really hit hard by the portal. This is like not the Pac-12 version of Oregon State, just because of some of the landscape shifting and
Yeah.
they're not able to play the NIL game right now and really the rev share game to the extent that other people are, and I think that hurt them obviously. And I mean, they played last week without their deep snapper.
Hmm.
So a kid that snapped last year, and I mean, it was bad. And the coach goes over to the at halftime on national television and drops an F-bomb. Have you seen this?
Oh no.
You haven't?
No, but I'm going to right after we
Oh
finish
yeah.
this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
No, I mean
wow.
he apologized for it after it. He was like, "Hey man, you should expect more from me. I expect more from myself. I shouldn't talk like that, but there's a certain way that I talk." And I was talking to the reporter like I was talking to a buddy, but he was like, bleep and joke. He just. I called my wife back like in my room and I was like, because it was after our game and it
Yeah.
wasn't. I would just kind of gotten home and I was just sick and twisted. Chris is like wanting to watch Oregon State and Fresno State, right? Just because I was curious about Oregon State's all these other good games on. He walks right over the camera and he's like, "Yeah, we just got to be better, man." And special teams like bleep and joke. And I
Whoa.
stopped it. I'm like, "Wait,
He
this
just
isn't
say
a
that?
yes." And
Oh my
but yeah, no,
goodness.
he said it. He dropped the and then there's another one out there where one of their offensive linemen, the referee's like holding 64 and 64 is walking right by and he drops
Oh,
the
I
same
heard that
word.
one. I did
Yeah,
see.
and the best part is like the color guy or the play-by-play guy is like that seems to be the common theme around here today
Yes.
because it was off
No, that makes sense.
it was in
Him
the
saying
second
that.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the second half. So I don't know. I think that it may be good for that team to get out on the road, get
Yeah.
away from all the chaos. They will be better than what you've seen. There is no doubt about that. The talent
Right.
will be better. There's a reason that you were favored by 48 or 49, and now it's only 23.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but, and I think that you'll be embracing this challenge because the competition level
Sure.
has just kind of increased as we go. But yeah, I guess we'll all kind of find out. But yeah, this will be interesting, and it's a perfect start time. 2:30 is ideal.
Yeah. I mean, I think it will be interesting to see the differences. Like I just watching this game, a guy like Cole Wisniewski, or these first 2 weeks, a guy like Cole Wisniewski, I don't believe level he's even had a chance to make a play on a ball
No,
thrown yet. Like we're
nope.
talking about a guy that had 8 picks in his last season. He played at North Dakota State, and it's just there's going to be a ramp up, and I think you're right. The players will absolutely welcome better competition. That being said, I would be surprised if Texas Tech doesn't have this in hand going into the fourth quarter. I mean, what are the scenarios? I guess if you are looking ahead to Utah, that could be a possibility where this gets tighter. Um,
And I just, it's not like that's some rivalry. It's also, I think you're at home,
mhm.
and I think there's so much new. See, some of this new, it works for you. Some of it can work against you, but some of this works for you too.
Right.
I think that these players will like because I think the place will be it'll be similar to what it was before the opener, before the game and everything like
Sure.
that with the vibe and everything. 2:30 is a perfect kick time. 11 a.m. ones are just tricky. But to the Tech faithful's credit, man, they it's always a bit of a late arrival and all that stuff, but I just thought that they showed up and that was legit. But to your point, I think you'll be just fine here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Um, got another question. This one's from Brandel. It says, "Is there any hope for two bids for the Big 12 at this point? National perception seems to be pretty bad right now."
I don't think there was any hope prior to the season starting. Who,
Okay.
who asked this?
Brandel.
Brandel. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brandel. I just think that was a bit far-fetched. Anyways, I think that I'm in the minority, even according to the leadership and all those things. But I wasn't a. I get why they didn't do it, and I guess I totally understand it. But I wasn't going to be too upset about multiple automatic bids. I think that
Yeah.
if they were gonna transition into that because I'm looking at access, I'm looking at figure out ways to get into this deal. Brett Yormark's got to look at big picture and perception of your league, and we can't be seen as half as worthy as these other
Sure.
leagues, and that's a bad perception. But I just think you were going to have a hard time anyways. I really do. I think that the system is kind of tweaked and rigged and all these different things, and I just don't know if you were going to get the benefit of the doubt. It would have taken, it would have taken a lot to have it work out in your favor, to where like an undefeated or a one-loss team
Yep.
lost the conference championship game,
Right.
and
I think that's still in play, but it's
it is, but
that doesn't feel
see,
like it's going to happen.
all of the leaks in your dam here,
Yeah.
from the weekend are not helping your case.
No, it's almost got to be like a scenario where Texas Tech loses at Utah. Those two face off again in the Big 12 championship, and Tech beats Utah, and both teams could get in potentially.
And I would say you'd have to, like, both games would have to be extremely competitive. Like, you
Correct.
couldn't blow the other one out. That would go
Right.
because let me just offer this up to you, like, and phrase it this way: the reigning Big 12 champion, the reigning Big 12 champion,
Don't say
just went and lost to a 2-10 Mississippi State team from last year. Like, we can try to defend this league all we want,
Yeah.
but at face value, the SEC is going to point and laugh
Oh, they are.
and say, "Huh, seriously, you guys, this is your league champ with all of this returning production, and they beat a 2-win Mississippi State team that's like with a second-year head coach, and it's like, I mean, so
I think
I can't argue against that.
no, and I think the last 2 weeks or your first 2 weeks of the season level, the most important Big 12 games, the ones you'd circle and say, this is the most important one for the league. This is the most important. You've lost those. It was Baylor and Auburn, and it was Arizona State and Mississippi State, the ones where you're like, hey, you got to win these for the perception
SEC
of the league.
games.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was good. Baylor beats.
You don't have any. Yeah, I know you don't have any. You don't feel any kind of way about beating SMU that went to
Yeah.
the playoffs last year.
I mean, I think that's okay, but I think the positive of that is pulled down more by losing to the 2-10 Mississippi State team. So, yeah.
Well, hey man, I know we're about out of time, so
Yes, sir.
we can cuss and discuss. You know what? We'll just take this off the air and we'll discuss about
We'll keep going.
how much the league is struggling or whatever. But man, appreciate it.
So,
Thank you for being a part of this, Woodman. So thank you for putting up with me, and we'll talk to everybody next time, I guess.
there we go. That's Chris Level. I'm Chois Woodman. This has been the Ask Level podcast brought to you by Double T 97.3.
You've been listening to the Ask Level podcast, powered by Double T 97.3.